Hey guys, Pulsating Sack back here with another video for you. Today we're going to be doing a patch notes overview. They dropped, late last night if you're in the US, and they should actually be live sometime today. Hopefully nothing goes wrong. Um, this is actually my second edit because the first time I recorded this, it got cut off. So you will see some, edit shenanigans around the strongbox area when we get to that. But hey, let's go ahead and get started. Some in-game changes. They added 4 new tower maps, which is awesome. We got really tired of running the Lost Tower. Not that it was a bad map per se. It's the only one they had. So it's good to have more. But with that being said, they've also revamped it. I know there were tons of issues with you couldn't see the monsters under the buildings. Minion builds were getting stuck on all the little pathways. You would just get, frozen by all the mobs spawning the little icicles while you couldn't dodge them. So hopefully the revamping has changed some of those issues. Okay. To address the problem of only having one attempt. So yeah, they added respawns, so 6 respawns to the Arbiter of Ash boss fight, which is a huge W. No one wants to waste 3 divines to attempt a boss, especially it's probably less of a problem now than it was a month ago when no one knew the mechanics, but now you can, go and look up a guide if you really want to. But if you want to experience it firsthand by yourself without a guide, then it still feels bad to have to waste 3 divines to walk into the boss to get one shot 10 seconds in, right? So this is a huge W, I think. And they're going to add more portals to other Pinnacle bosses. They just haven't done it yet, but they will be doing that later. Um, Art of Ash can no longer be interrupted. Okay. And vulnerable for longer during submergence. Okay. This is the next big one. Now less likely to target minions when using his sword, which could prevent some of their skills being used. But also, if you had an issue with minion uptime on this Pinnacle boss specifically, I know I heard some complaints about people going in there and their minions being dead for an extreme amount of time, reviving just to die again, reviving just to die again. So I don't personally play a minion build right now. I have in the past, so I don't remember any specific issues with Arbiter of Ash, but hopefully this helps out some of the minion buds. Added checkpoints to map areas. This is huge. I mean, no one likes doing a map, getting all the way to the end, and then seeing that you missed a single rare at the very beginning of the map. That's horrible, especially depending on some of the layouts where you just have to run in a straight line all the way back through. So this is huge. Hopefully they add a checkpoint to the beginning, middle, and the end, something like that. Just three checkpoints I think would be more than fine. Now contain a minimum of 3 rare monsters. I don't specifically remember having this type of issue. Maybe on a map like Crypt, a super small map, you would get 2 rare monsters, 1 rare mon. I don't specifically remember getting any less than 3, but now it's a minimum, so that's good. Citadels can now appear closer to the refuge. This is awesome. For anyone that doesn't know how it works, when you first start mapping, everyone starts, in that little same area with, you got to get to the refuge or whatever. But citadels will not spawn until you get further away from that. So if you just play around that same area, you're never going to get a refuge until you branch out. But the distance, I don't specifically know. Um, like how far out you had to go, but now it's less. So that's good. Improve the visibility of citadels. This is awesome as well. I know for like the first 2 or 3 days of my mapping experience, I didn't even find a single citadel. So, and we were just kind of going in random directions, just having fun with it. But now you can actually see them in the fog itself, so you can path directly towards a citadel if that's what you want to do. So that's a big W. Maps now display their biome. So this is huge as well. This is big quality of life. So if you don't know, each map has their own biome. Depending on what biome you're in, if you take the specific Atlas passive, that gives you like more currency in this biome, more jewels in this biome, etc. You'd have to go to like PoE2DB, figure out what maps are in what biomes, memorize the biomes if that's what you want to do. But now it's in game, ready for you to see. So that's huge, huge quality of life. New Overseer tablet. So essentially, it's a bossing tablet, which, I mean, that's awesome because let me tell you, in PoE1, the bosses are they're bosses. We're not talking about pinnacle bosses. We're talking about regular map bosses. They're not fun. Like most of the time, you skip the bosses unless you're doing some type of Maven strategy where you're trying to get maps, whatever. Um, in PoE2, I enjoy killing the bosses. I think the boss fights are some of the most fun part of the game. They're so well designed. Probably the best boss fights in the genre, the ARPG genre. Like, I mean, just compare them to Diablo 4 boss fights. Like, it's really not even comparable. Like PoE2 is just so good. So the more map bosses we can do, the more fun I'm having personally. So I enjoy that. Map areas have been adjusted, distinct specialties. Yeah, so now depending on what type of map you're running, whether it's large map, small map, etc., you could potentially get, more magic monsters, more rare monsters, more essences, shrines, strong boxes. So overall, this is a buff to mapping in general, which is awesome. That's a step in the right direction. We won't know how big of a buff until we get to actually test it when it goes live. But you can see the numbers there: 50% more rares, 50% more chance to contain essences. They didn't say anything about increasing greater essences. We'll see if they made any adjustments to that. It's just something we're going to have to test. Same with strong boxes. Unclaimed hideout areas have more magic monsters, fewer rares. Yeah. Monsters in Untainted Paradise have been breeding. Contains 100% more monsters. Yeah, so if you've done any of the Untainted Paradises, it's just not worth it, especially at higher levels. Like you go in there and to a map that's made to give you a ton of experience, and you walk out with 2% extra experience or something. They definitely needed more monster density, so this is good. I do have a few of these on my map that I haven't ran yet, so we'll be able to test that out, see if it's worth it. Highlight clickability of shrines. Okay. Reduce the damage scaling of monsters. Okay. So yeah, so this has been an issue. Actually, I think it's more of an issue with Expedition. Sometimes you could just create these Expedition mobs. Granted, you can adjust the modifiers yourself, but some of these, like my first build, I was running a minion build, and I think I had like 13,000 ES because I was just going all defensive. And I still remember getting one shot by some of these expedition mobs. I think it was like the ground effect, which they already nerfed, but it's still super strong. So I mean that's good. The damage scaling. I think it needs to be made again to expedition, but we'll see. Adjusted the chance for maps to contain bosses. Encountering a boss roughly every 1 in 4 maps. Yeah, so this is amazing. Like I was saying earlier, I personally want to do more boss fights, and I know a lot of people agree with that. The boss fights are some of the best designed in the entire genre of ARPGs. So they're really fun to run. We like running them, so this is a big win. Now they've adjusted some of the passives for this because they've probably added those modifiers to the boss tablets, so they didn't want the boss tablets to like double dip per se with the other passives. We'll see. I don't think they specifically list what's on the tablets yet. Um, but yeah, we'll see if this nerf to the actual waystone droppage from bosses is warranted. I'm not afraid of you. Delirium passive now grants 100% more splinters instead of 50%. Now, yeah, I mean, we need a buff for Delirium. like you'd go in there and run a delirium map and get 5, 6, 7 splinters, whereas breach you could get 50, 60, 70. Now I don't know if the 50 to 100% is going to be big enough. Like maybe they'll need more. I know they buff the average drop rate a little bit lower in the patch notes as well when we get to that. Actually, right here, increase the amount found in maps by 20%. So the 20% plus an extra 50% from the passive skill, we'll see if that's enough. I think getting 15, I don't know, maybe 25 a map seems fair. It doesn't need to be as much as Breach, but it definitely needs a buff. Reduce the number of monsters, small chest from breaches by 50%. People are probably going to be worried when they see this. I don't think you'll even notice. They said in the last interview that they were actually getting errors on their side because the breaches were not even able to spawn as many monsters, and it was like attempting to spawn the monsters and they weren't spawning because so many were already out there. I think this 15% is not going to be noticeable by us, but maybe it's to reduce like the errors they are getting on their side. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. But once again, we'll have to test it when it goes live. 2D art for waystones, okay. Appropriate gold value for the, yeah, I mean if you're selling audience with the king to the vendor, you know, what are you doing? Come on. You need gold that bad? I'll give you some gold for your audience with the king. Increase how far you can zoom out at the in-game map. I mean, I've been asking for this since like day 3, day 4. We needed a bigger zoom, so this is a big win in my book. Skill changes. I'm not gonna. I've never played with Slam, so I'm not gonna talk on this. And then Scavenge Plating, I've never played with, so I'm not gonna talk on this. Lightning Bolt skill granted by Choir of the Storm has been renamed. Okay, damage buff, but now you're so now you cannot trigger lightning bolts off subsequent lightning bolts if the first was a greater hit. We'll see how. I mean, Spark. A lot of Spark builds are playing with this amulet. I don't personally play a Spark build, so I can't talk in too in depth on that. But we'll see if that makes this less. People are going to run it less now or more. No longer reduce the cooldown. So this is the big one right here. You're no longer going to have instant blinks, just blinking around the entire map. So, yeah, it feels bad. I mean, blinking around the entire map is fun. It's great gameplay, but it's not the direction of the gameplay they necessarily want the game to go, which I understand. So they have changed that. You're going to be able to blink. It's still going to be a very fast build, just blinking with Temporalis, but it's not going to be instant. Skills socketed into meta gem sockets can no longer gain energy. We'll see if this fixes a lot of the energy gain shenanigans we've been seeing. You know, where you're just casting so many abilities or spells that you crash your own game or you freeze up. We'll see. I'm sure someone's going to find something else. Clarified Vine Arrow's description to state it hits enemies on landing. So I've never played with Vine Arrow, but I know there are some Vine Arrow shenanigans going on as well. I know they have another Vine node Vine Arrow adjustment down below as well. So we'll see in game. Monsters now increase toughness per essence modifier affecting them. Yeah, hopefully we don't go back to PoE 1 essence modifier or monsters where they have so many modifiers on them. They have billions of health. They probably need an increase for sure. They just get one shot mostly, just like everything else in the game at this point. We'll see how much that actually affects them. Small delay before release from Essence monoliths. Yeah, so as soon as you released them, they would cast their abilities, and sometimes, you know, if your build wasn't ready for that, or you wasn't expecting it, you could just get killed by something that they cast instantly. So pretty much they've nerfed some of the mobs in this section here. So like Forsaken Miners now throw less grenades. The Plague Bringers can no longer cast Detonate Dead from like off screen with Meteor off screen. So these are really good adjustments. It's super annoying. Leap distance and Bro, those things would just leap from the vile vultures would just leap off screen onto you, and next thing you know, you got 6 of those things on you and you're dead. So that's good. Axe throwing distance of the axeman. Okay, that's good. So I'm not going to go through this entire section, but just know that they have adjusted the behaviors. You should hopefully notice it when you go into maps now that you have less like off-screen type of stuff. Uh, Stuff is easily more noticeable. I mean, prowling shades can now use their invisibility skill less often. I mean, who doesn't hate prowling shades? Probably the most annoying mob in the game, right? So a lot of this stuff is really good, really good. But I'm not going to cover it all because it's not major. But just know that mapping should feel better now. General changes, migrating from solo self-found to the corresponding leagues. So I don't play solo self-found, but I know this was an issue for a lot of people. So this is awesome. Now, here's the one that I can't wait to test. Strong boxes have been adjusted to spawn waves of enemies over a much shorter period of time. And now the fog, oh my god, that fog effect was so annoying. So now it fades away once all the enemies have been spawned. And then increase the encounter of research strong boxes. So we'll see if it's going to be worth to open these or not. But I mean, the last couple weeks, we've just been running past them. We don't even open them. It's just, they take too long and the loot wasn't anything crazy. So um, some adjustments to the modifiers to the strong boxes. They now have a delay. Charms now play an effect on your character when they're automatically used. This is awesome. This is big. I mean, it's not going to affect how charms work. It's just going to give you a notification so you know when your charm is working, because most people just don't even know when their charm is working or not. Uh, this one is a big W. This came up before the game even came out, I believe, when it was getting play tested by some of the other people. But socketables can now be overwritten. This is awesome. I mean, now we don't have to go like, for example, I was playing a non-CI build that used Hand of Wisdom in action, so I had chaos resistance in it. And then I switched to a CI version, and obviously I don't need the chaos resistance, so I had to go buy a whole new pair just because of that one rune. I mean, granted, I didn't have to, but I didn't want to. It's such a waste. So now we can fix that. Flasks can now be salvaged. Don't know why that wasn't in the game before, but hey, now you can. Armor's been made more effective, 15%. Now that it's going to need more than 15%. But I think they did this as just a small adjustment because armor buffs and other changes are going to come in the big patch, which is going to be later on. Um, More monsters can now be pushed while dodge rolling. That's good. I mean, like, it's still, some of these monsters are super annoying that you can get stuck in between and you can't move, can't get out of the way. So that's really nice. This is going to be a huge one. If you run ritual, increase the chance for omens to appear. They didn't specifically say how much or whatever, but we'll have to test that as well. Ritual, if you didn't know, is actually already a really, really good way to make money. Uh, might even be better than breach if you juice it properly. I don't want to give out anything yet because you could just get really lucky getting omens and the king and everything. But if you juice ritual properly, it's actually really, really good. So now it should be even better, but maybe omen prices are going to drop depending on how much it was changed. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to test. Um, okay. Exit portal. Level requirement to access expedition. I mean, some quality of life stuff. Rarity of items and expedition vendor shops now increase with the shop level. So shops generally have more rare items. So when I first read this, it's very like an ambiguous statement. I don't really know how it's going to affect expedition. It's something that I will test out for sure, but um yeah, we'll see on that one. That one's kind of big, potentially not. Visual clutter in mini map area. Oh my gosh, thank goodness. Yeah, that's gonna be amazing. I mean, what's that map? Willow or something where it's just got trees everywhere. You just might as well, you can't see anything on the entire map because it's just the whole map is full of trees. And there's other maps like that as well. So hopefully that fixes that. That's a good one. Loading screen, revive times. Alpha now has the option to gamble for items when placing your hideout. Hey, that's quality of life right there. I don't have to go to freaking Act 3 or Act 6, whatever anymore to do that. It's going to save me some loading screen time. Reviving minions that died from being out of range of you now instead of immediately reviving you. This is huge. This is major. I mean, when I played my minion build, I played with Blink until I realized that when I got out of range of my minions, they were just dead, and I had to wait the entire respawn timer. So this is nice. This is huge quality of life for any minion builds. I'm sure that's not gonna fix the AI component, like them still getting stuck in chokeholds and stuff like that. But this is a step in the right direction as far as that goes. Quest tracker now shows which quests are applicable for the area. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, gems now show their level on the item label. That's awesome. Charm, just some good quality of life stuff here. Some cosmetic changes. I've gotten some 2D art, whereas Hand of Wisdom and Action have 3D art. Flavor text. Quality of life for Omen of Whittling. Nothing super important. Performance issues. Screen clutter. Burning ground can no longer spawn underneath interactables. Oh my god. You ever done the map Augury and you have burning ground? You have burning ground on the thing that you have to sit and pull for 15 seconds and you can't do anything about it? Yeah, so hopefully that fixes that. Monsters can no longer spawn near the close to the entrance of a map. Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, sometimes you would walk into the map and immediately get attacked. Yeah, upon moving. I mean, it's annoying for sure. So that's good. This one, I have a personal issue with this one, so I'm so glad. So if it's probably less of an issue for range, but maybe not. But for melee, man, as soon as you walk into that mirror and delirium and they emerge from the animation, you can't kill them. They're untargetable and they just push you around. I didn't even want to run delirium for only this reason alone. It's just so annoying to play in delirium. So this is huge. This is huge for me. I'm so glad they added this. You can now pick up items that interact with some objects while performing other actions. Okay. Unique item changes. Now, I'm not going to cover this section. I could tell you that I went through all of these a few times. I kind of like, just skimmed it. They're mainly making them better for like early mid game, maybe early in the mapping. I could be wrong. I'm sure someone's gonna find something, but I could be wrong. But I don't think there are any crazy changes. None of these items are magically gonna become an in-game build defining unique. Based off what I've read, none of these are really going to affect anything like that. Like I said, I could be wrong about that. I'm sure someone could find something. But yeah, I'm not going to go over that for this reason alone. I think these are mostly early mid-game adjustments, which is fine. It's just not going to affect the end game. Bug fixes. Yeah, I'm not going to go through all of these either, but just know that they do fix a lot of good stuff, a lot of issues. So some of the, fix the bug where objects such as Vine Arrow incorrectly count as targets when dealing splash damage through the Great Hammer base type. So I'm sure you've seen some videos on Vine Arrow, like warriors breaking the game. I did. I don't want to say abuse, but I did use this when I was leveling my mercenaries. So Siege Cascade is an ability that you don't really aim it. You just press the button and it targets everything close to you. So if there's 10 monsters near you, it'll target 10 monsters and then shoot down stuff from the sky and explode on them, right? Well, if you played with Frostwall, which I was at the time, you could lay down a bunch of frost walls, siege cascade, and it would target all the frost walls as well. So you could trap monsters with frost wall and then use that and just get insane splash damage. I mean, I'll go through them real quick. I'll skim them, but I don't think it's anything crazy. It's just a lot of bug fixes, which is nice. It's something that's going to be in every single patch notes. So controller improvements. I don't personally play with the controller, so mouse and keyboard, PC gamer only, no consoles. So I'm not going to really talk on that. I will talk on this though. I know people playing console have been asking for filters for since the launch of the game. So this is this is awesome. This is good for them. Fixed number of cases, yeah, localization, and then they're adding some now new microtransactions, probably stuff you already haven't been able to use, which is awesome. I'm excited to see everything in game. And then some quick notes before I finish up, adding multiple respawns to other Pinnacle content. So this where they added respawns to Arbiter of Ash. Now they're going to add it to the other bosses as well, but the way they implement them is going to be slightly different. So that's why they're not all in this time. And then they're working on a Waystone stash tab. Thank God. Thank God. This is huge. Yeah, so this is just a quick overview. If you have any specific questions, feel free to comment and I'll reply back. I try to reply back to every comment that I can. So I do enjoy reading those. And yeah, hey, we'll see you next time. Peace.